Hey everybody, welcome to another Spotlight on the Guild Wars 2 community. This is going to have a name at some point, but it still doesn't right now. Maybe the title has the name when I've actually thought of it, but for now, we're just winging it. I'm here with Eider, and Eider's been doing some streaming, is active in the community, played the game a long time. I believe you're doing some little events. Are you teaching people strikes on the weekend or something?
Yep. Sunday strikes. Yep.
Sunday strikes. That's good. Tell us a little bit about you.
Ooh, well, I'm EiderAce, but Eider for short works perfectly fine. I am a teacher who been playing the game on and off since the early beta days. I picked up the game more hardcore, I guess, in around summer, because I got a lot of time on my hands since I got diagnosed with Chron's disease. So I've been home a lot, and I picked up the game, began playing a lot more, and a couple of months ago, I picked up streaming, and it's been going very, very well. I've gradually climbed and got more people to follow, and we started with a community. So we've been playing together. It's called Fortune Friendship, and that's there where we do a lot of these activities outside the actual guild missions, and just in general, we just hang out. We also play Thunder Strikes, and we've done a lot of PvP introductions. Basically, where we feel the need is and where the interest lies, and so it comes and goes. But right now, the most concrete one is the Thunder Strikes, and so that's something I'm gonna do after this one as well.
Oh, sweet.
I will jump right into it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but that's basically the summary. We're very laid back. We respect each other's lives outside of the game, and yeah, it's kind of necessary in my case since with the disease I can't really give it all give it 100% every single time. Some days I'm gonna have to lay down and just deal with the pain a little bit. But
you mentioned that you're cool. A teacher.
Yes.
So did you take? Are you still teaching, or are you able to still teach with Chron? I will completely acknowledge my lack of knowledge and awareness. I don't know a lot about Chron's. I have an idea, but given that I'm sure there are other people who may be listening to this that don't know, or maybe have an idea but aren't sure, I'd love it if you're comfortable, of course, to tell us a little bit about what that means and what a day-to-day is like. Is it different for everybody? Just give us kind of an overview, and then also maybe I'm very curious. We can talk about the teaching thing after.
Yeah. Okay. So do the Crohn's things first. It's an autoimmune disease that means that your immune system is basically tanking your intestines. So you can get constant inflammation from your mouth all the way through, so to speak, without being too detailed. And that means a bunch of different things, that you basically bloat, but to an extreme extent, and that can hurt in itself. It also makes it very fragile. Your body struggles to keep the nutrients, so you lose a lot of weight, and it can give you a lot of severe pain since there's an inflammation going on. So you bleed a lot continuously. So when I got the diagnosis, I went in because I was feeling dizzy on a regular basis, and after all of the tests and things that I figured out that I had Crohn's. I was dizzy because I was lacking iron and blood, because I've been bleeding internally for quite a while, and it's that's the summary of it. Everybody experiences it differently. A lot of people have more pain. In my case, I'm very tired most of the times. I sleep a lot, and so I feel lucky in that sense that I don't experience the pain that much, because that's the few times I've had it. It's like you literally ate glass. There's some sharp knife stabs happening inside your intestines, and it's not very pleasant.
I mean, I can only imagine. I only have, this is not a good comparison at all, but I had a kidney stone once. I had a kidney stone. And it was horrible. It was the worst pain I'd ever experienced. In fact, I don't know how many people have heard this story, so I'll just share it very quickly. I was getting up to go do some work, and my wife had just left, and at the time we only had one car. And so I was home alone, and I had showered, and I was getting dressed and everything. And I was like, oh, I have this sharp pain in my side. I was like, that's really odd. And at the time, if we're going scale of 1 to 10 for pain, it was probably a 3. I was like, oh, this is like uncomfortable, but it's not unbearable, right?
Inconvenient, yeah.
Yeah. And then in like 30 minutes later, it was at like a 5. And now I was like, oh, this is like uncomfortable enough to where I don't really want to like move around a lot, or like it's like really bothering me. It's like a dull, constant pain. And so I called my wife, and my wife had driven out of town. And so she was like 40 minutes away, let's say. And I said, I don't know what's going on, but I have this strange, sharp pain, and I feel like I need to tell you about this in case something happens to me. And she said, okay, well, what do you want me to do about it? Because I'm like way far away now. Like, what am I going to do? I was like, I don't know. I just might need to go and, do something. I don't know. I might I don't know. Like this is not good. I might have to go to a doctor or something. She said, okay, well, if it doesn't go away in like 10 minutes, then give me a call. 10 minutes later, it's at like a 7. Now I'm in a lot of pain, right? Now I'm like, ooh, I'm like breathing a little different. I'm in a lot of pain. So I call my wife back, and I'm like, this is not good. I don't know what's going on. I've never experienced pain like this before. It's all of a sudden, it's just hitting me like a truck. I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, you're going to have to call an ambulance. So I start pacing around and like Googling stuff, and I realized that maybe my appendix has burst. That's what I thought had happened. And so I was really worried. So I called 911, and I said, hey, I'm experiencing like extreme pain in my abdomen. I don't know if it's like my appendix. I've never had my appendix removed or anything. I have no idea what's going on. I'm in a lot of pain, and it's getting worse fast. I'm home alone. I don't have anywhere to go. I need you to send somebody as soon as possible. And they said, okay, we're dispatching somebody immediately. So I went upstairs, and like it started ramping really fast. It went to like an 8, right? And like at that point, I think it was probably some of the worst pain I'd ever experienced. It was getting to that point, and I was like, holy, like I can't even move. Like so I was like hobbling, holding my stomach, like going around the house. I like grabbed my keys, I grabbed my wallet, and I was sitting on the stairs, and I started sweating because the pain was so intense. And then it hit a 9. And when it hit a 9, I was like, I was just like stunned in pain. I could like hardly open my eyes. I was in so much pain. And I was worried that I was going to pass out because the pain was so intense. So I opened my front door, and it was like summertime. So I was like sitting on my step, and I was like, like I was actually making noise because it bothered me so much. And then like 5 minutes before they got there, it hit a 10. And I was like laying on the ground, and I had like my wallet open, and like, so that they knew it was me. Yeah. Cause I was so afraid I was going to pass out. It seems really silly, but like the pain was so intense.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I thought that I was going to pass out. So I had all my stuff there, and then I heard the ambulance get there, and I started yelling for help. I was like, help, I'm over here. And they came and got me. And I told them to close my door, and then I started throwing up because the pain was so intense. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. It's just happened all of a sudden. And I got to the hospital, and they figured it out pretty fast. But holy, I've never been in so much pain. And they call it like an attack. I had like 3 attacks, or was it 2? I think I had 2 attacks, and they had me on morphine. And so anything that's internal, like if it's anything close to that, it's got to suck. Like that's got to be a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So
it sounded quite similar. So
yeah,
it's like the first time experience it's like a whole new door opens up. Like this is what you thought a scale of 1 to 10 in pain was, and it's like no.
Yeah, I had broken my foot once in my life, and it wasn't like like my bones didn't snap or anything. I just like I like chipped a bone, and it hurt a lot, right? Like it hurt a lot. My foot was very swollen. I couldn't walk on it, but it was nothing like the kidney stone.
It's comparable.
Yeah, and I had heard of kidney stones, I guess, but hadn't really like a lot of knowledge or anything, I suppose. So I just
you pick it up somewhere.
Yeah. So that's really I'm curious if you I know that a lot of people that have some sort of affliction or disease or whatever, when they go online, they're able to really find find a community and find people that have similar struggles, and that really bonds them. Have you found something similar with Guild Wars 2 and Chron's?
multiple,
Yeah.
actually. And we're not limited to Chron's either. It's like other people within a similar situation and with the other sorts, because the Chron's is just a tiny part of like the entire package. And so we found that a couple of them are joined on the guild, and we kind of keep each other updated on how each other's situations are. So like in my case, my medicine's not working. I try out a new one. It's like, how you're doing? And this person is having a lot of pain. It's like we keep each other updated and give each other advice and just support. It's always nice to know, have a couple of people that actually knows for reals. People can always relate, but it's always nice when that person really legitimately experienced a similar thing.
It's a deeper level of empathy and understanding.
Yeah, and the advice can be a lot more specific, because with these things, legitimately eating one nut, or eating unpeeled cucumber can mess you up for a week. And really? In worst case, send you to the hospital. It's that fragile, and because shells outside of vegetables and things like that,
it's not easy to digest.
They're rough. Yeah, exactly. So they clog. They just end up shutting everything down.
Then inflammation.
And no, they just there's something like you can't process the intestine. It gets stuck, and then it just kind of clogs, and nothing goes through at all. And that's dangerous.
yeah, of course, right? Because then you have to, if it gets compact enough, you have to go and get it removed. So that's bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things, and I didn't know anything about Crohn's up to this point at all. I didn't even know it was a thing, and I know of some similar diseases, but not Crohn's. So I had a lot of homework to do.
Is this again? If I'm ever asking anything that's like too personal, you can just be like, I don't know.
Go on.
I'm just kind of.
I'm an open book.
Okay, I'm really curious about is this something people are born with, or is it something that just kind of happens over time, or maybe you're born with it but it progresses, or was it very sudden for you, right? Did you all of a sudden one day you're like, oh, whoa, I
have Crohn's.
Yeah.
As far as I understood it, the science doesn't really know, but the best educated guess right now is that it's something you're born with, but something needs to trigger it. So, and something usually triggers it somewhere quite early in your life. So I'm late. Like for me, it triggered when I was 27. I'm 28 now, and so somewhere there, I experienced something that triggered it. It could be I got a particular bacteria like when I ate something bad, or it could have been stress. There's a very broad list on what the potential causes is, but it's something you're supposedly born with, and then it gets triggered, and for the moment it's triggered, it's there for your life, for the rest of your life.
Wow, that's really interesting. So
for me,
they don't know yet, but that's really interesting. So you went to school to be a teacher?
Yeah.
And so are you still able to teach then? Like how does that work?
Yeah. Sadly, I haven't been able to go back just yet, at least, and it's because the daily life gets very very much affected nonetheless because of them. In my case, I mentioned I sleep a lot, so and for my inflammation, I take a lot of medication that keeps me awake at night, which means that I sleep bad. So I struggle to wake up in the mornings. So it's just a general having like a daily 9 to 5 routine, any routine really, is rough, which is a perfect case for me with streaming, because I can adjust my hours a little bit accordingly to how my body is working at the moment. And so late nights works better for me personally, but others can experience the exact opposite. But it's I forgot where I was going with it.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. My grandparents were both teachers, and so I have a soft spot for teachers. Teachers are awesome. Teachers are great. I went to graduate school. I'm actually just graduating soon, and so I was a teaching assistant for some time and helped teach sales management. So I love teaching as well, and I think that often reflects in my raid trainings. I'm a teacher at heart. What kind of level did you teach at? Did you teach like youth?
Primary.
So like how old were your kids?
They were. I was PE first and foremost, but
that's sweet. It's everyone's favorite teacher.
Mostly involved with it. Yeah, basically, I was that teacher that ran around and participated in games during recess. Instead of standing there with your coffee on the side, going, "Don't do that. Don't climb trees." No, I was in the trees with the kids.
Yeah.
So that it's it's a quite demanding profession.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it
of
requires
course.
you to be on tip top, and that's kind of what ended up being the biggest obstacle for me to go back, is that I can't really perform 100% continuously. I need to take a lot of breaks, and if anything, just go to the bathroom, because
Yeah.
the moment I eat, it goes right through.
Yeah.
So
where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm from Sweden.
Sweden. Okay, sweet.
Yes.
Very cool. Sweden has a really good education system, is what I've heard too.
Yeah, as a teacher, I can list multiple reasons why it's not good, but
of course.
but it's like, if you look internationally and compare it, I would say it's really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Canada, and we have pretty good. Again, people try to find everything that's wrong with it, but if you step back and have a little optimism, there's the teaching system is pretty good here. Like, we pay our teachers pretty well relative to, like, I live like 2 hours north of the American border, right, or maybe an hour north.
Yeah.
And so if you go 2 hours south, the teachers make half as much money. It's wild. Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
Yeah. Teachers make quite a lot where I live, but. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about Guild Wars 2. I always get really interested in people's backstories. So you said you've played since beta?
Yeah, I was playing World of Warcraft, as probably as many others, and I was getting very tired of the game and how it was not letting people cooperate. Like, you were Alliance, you were Horde, but even in Horde there were segments of competition. Like, you were competing over materials, over nodes, over loot, over quest items, and I was really tired of that. So then the Guild Wars 2 was announced, and they began releasing these very early on YouTube videos. So they were kind of went through and like, this is Guild Wars 2 events and cooperation. And I was like, that's what I want. And I just kept myself updated with it, participated in the betas, and loved every single second of it. And I've been a part of the game ever since.
Oh,
so
that's really cool.
Soon to be 10 years.
Wow, yeah, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, I also played. Yeah. I played beta. I played Guild Wars 1 a lot, and so I was part of the crew that was playing Guild Wars 1, waited till Guild Wars 2 came out, and then switched to Guild Wars 2. I remember when I first started playing Guild Wars 2, I was like really enamored with it. I really liked it. But then after like a few weeks, I was like, this is a Guild Wars 1, because it was so different, right? It was very much a different game, right? Guild Wars 1 is more like a cooperative online role-playing game, because people aren't necessarily, like, everything's instanced, whereas Guild Wars 2 is very much a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. So that distinction was actually much grander than I had anticipated, and it was very, very hard to adjust. Also, everything felt... I don't know. Everything just felt, well, so much faster, right? And when the game first came out, things were not even as fast as it is perhaps now, but things were much faster than Guild Wars 1. Guild Wars 1 was more like a chess game in some sense, right?
Yeah.
There were still elements of speed and whatnot, but not quite the same as the dynamic combat system that is Guild Wars 2.
No. Which is exactly the opposite reason why I could not get my head into Guild Wars 1 originally. I just, I wanted to play an MMORPG. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to have that movement, and then I booted it up, and because I bought factions, and I was like, people are following me. Are these real players? No, they're not. I can change their equipment. Like, what is this? I had no idea. Like, because my concept of what an MMORPG was completely different, and I went into the Guild Wars 1 with a mindset that it was going to be a similar experience, and clearly wasn't. So in my case, I was happily surprised that they took this turn and made it more MMORPG-like, I guess, and less cooperative roleplay RPG, like it has been. Yeah.
What's your favorite part of Guild Wars 2? Like, do you have, like, some people love PvP, some people love World versus World. Are you mostly a PvE player, or what's the deal there?
Like, historically, I'm probably more into the SPvP, because that's where I spent most of my time. But I would, if I like favorite part of the game, I would say it's the combat. Just without when in doubt. It's so fluid. You feel like every click matters. Your position matters, and it's you really move with the character in another way. It gives us another level of immersion than in other MMORPGs that I've been playing, where you either the character stands still and you click a buttload of buttons, like I have 28,000 skills to use simultaneously in a rotation, but there's no immersion. The character just stands still, going shoo shoo shoo, arcane blast. Like there's no. I know that was one of the things I didn't like with with WoW, obviously. So there's like those things, and the movement and the positioning is completely different. And so that was the thing that sold me out to begin with.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I agree. That's the main reason. I have a hard time playing other MMOs and other games now with the combat, because Guild Wars 2 just feels so smooth. I mean, there's actually some classes I feel play smoother than others. Like I play Hollow, that's my main. And Hollowsmith, for those that don't know, is the elite specialization of engineer. And it like turns you into a Jedi in some sense. You like go Hollow Forge mode, and then you get this like giant laser sword and laser guns, and I don't know, there's something just silky smooth about moving around using the different leaps that Hollow has, whether it's Sword 3 or Hollow Leap 2, and being able to sort of get around like that. You can if you trade it, you have super speed. I don't know, there's something about it that just feels really good to play. And
very responsive.
Yes, I think that's a good word. Very responsive. You know, this topic actually came up with I chatted with Anotic, and he said that sort of the same thing, that the combat system was really what drew him to Guild Wars 2. I feel like that is a very difficult thing to express to people, and it's also something I talked about last time, where you can tell somebody that the combat is really smooth, but they have to sort of experience that for themselves. And if they go in and they just play like basic open world, I don't even feel like they get the full experience. People have to go and like fight a raid boss and be moving around and be forced to move from point A to point B, like at Doom, right? You're moving around in like a circle, and you got to go in a green, you got to get here and go here and do this. And when you experience the combat, when it's pushed to its limits, Guild Wars 2 is absolutely unmatched.
Definitely. I agree with you. I think it's probably because it's such a marketing point for many other games. Like it's very easy to market your game as, we got good combat, it's responsive, every click matters. It's that the generic thing marketing teams just throw out left and right. So I think you just kind of brush it off the moment you actually measure. Like, no, like it's for real. It's really, really good. When you click on a leap attack, there is no half a second where the character just kind of goes and before the actual leap happens, and like you leaps right away, and the moment you land, you can begin to move around and attack like without any delays. It doesn't feel clunky at all. But yeah, you probably have to experience it to really understand how fluid and how smooth it is.
Maybe slight change of subject here, but given that you've played Guild Wars 2 since essentially the beta, what was the greatest era of Guild Wars 2 for you? Like, what was your favorite time?
I would say Heart of Thorns, really.
Like just the release, or how did that go?
Yeah, around the release, I because it came at a perfect time for me, because I had, I've been really diving first into Guild Wars, kind of began losing interest, and then they just out of the blue announced that they were going to do a live stream with some sort of announcement, and during that announcement and the hype that began building up on it, and from that point, from the announcement of the announcement to the point of release, it was really, really cool. And that because it came a lot of cool things with that's how they introduced raids and the guild halls, and there's a lot of good things, and I really enjoyed how difficult the maps were. Like you when you saw a player that you had no idea who it was, but you kind of wanted to stick around that player in case pocket raptors,
Yeah. So I actually did something really crazy the other day. This is relevant. Okay, so I have a million alt accounts because I help so many people raid, right? And so I thought, okay, well, I need to level a ranger, and I didn't have any tomes. I had some like experience boosters and stuff, but I was like, what's the best way to level? And I decided that if I went to Verdant Brink and I did the bauble farm on like a level 2 character, that I could level super fast because I would just use all the boosters, and I would just hit it once with my raptor, get all the XP, and just rinse and repeat, and I'd get a little bit of gold in the process, Yeah. So I was turning out all those boosters. I thought it was going to be good. but I had to get to Verdant Brink, and I didn't want to play through the story again. So, and I didn't have any teleport to friends, so I went through my guild hall and showed up in Auric Basin. So I had to get there.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to go through Heart of Thorns maps as a level 2 character that gets one shot by pocket raptors. It was, it actually, like, I say this with absolutely zero sarcasm. It was one of the coolest experiences because everything was dangerous. Like the map, like the mobs felt scary. And I hadn't experienced something like that in ages, right? In Guild Wars 2, almost nothing feels dangerous except the instance content. Like when a world boss spawns, I don't think, oh man, this is going to terrorize the land. I think, okay, let's all just stand there and press 1 and this thing will die in about 10 minutes, right? Like that's kind of what I think. And you know, I'm being a little bit hyperbolic there, but the reality is that things aren't quite as dangerous as maybe they present, right? Like it's very hard to fail a meta event if you have enough people. It doesn't even really matter the skill level of those people. If you have enough, it's difficult to fail. So for me, going around in a level 2 and realizing I could die at any moment, like suddenly I played different. I had to think differently. And I really liked that.
Yeah. Like you think twice before just initiating any fight. Like you begin to think like, should I walk around instead? Like, can I dodge this? Is another route? And it really brings out a new perspective to things. And I don't know if they actually nerfed it, but I've gotten the impression that they have.
Nerfed which?
Because the content in general, like in the expansion zones.
I think they. Oh man, I could be misremembering this, but I think they have in the past, like a long time ago, maybe nerfed it a little bit. But I think the main thing that's happened is just gradually they've made everything more powerful. So where 6 years ago it was probably a little bit easier, now it's or a little bit harder rather. Now because you have all these new elite specializations and stuff, you just annihilate things. Yeah, that's the power creep. Yeah, the power creep is a problem. I've always looked at difficulty levels, and I really wish that we had. I really wish that there was more difficulty in open world, and I actually think they might lean towards doing stuff like this because we've seen Dragonstorm, right? So with Dragonstorm, you have the public and the instance version. Marionette, you have the same. I hope that they continue doing things like that because imagine if you could do a challenge mode open world event. Yeah,
that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, and like the challenge mode makes it so that the boss is way more lethal, right? Suddenly you have to think about actually dodging the mechanics, not just skipping all of them. This would be massive, right? Like this would be very interesting. Imagine if your car had an instanced event with a challenge mode that made it so you instantly died if you got hit by the wave and that it was unblockable.
Yeah.
Right. Or like you couldn't. Yeah. So you couldn't
change the game.
Yeah. You couldn't use stand your ground. Like you had to dodge or jump over it. And if you did not, you died. Like that completely changes everything. And
it should be that unforgiving. Yeah. It would be really, really fun.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like that everywhere because I think that one of the big pros about Guild Wars 2 is that you can also just jump in and play. Like anybody can just go in, get involved, join the commander, kill the boss, and feel good about that. And that's really good. I think that accessibility is important. But at the same time, there are players who want to stretch that combat system that's so loved to its limit. And if we had more things that highlighted that more aspirational content, that wasn't super high effort for the devs either, right? Like take the exact same fight, make it so it's more lethal. That's it, right? If they did that, I think more people would be interested. And then if you do that, reward people in some way for completing that. Give them achievements, give them a little extra gold, make it so that it's worthwhile so that people want to do it, but that they're not punished for doing it. They're rewarded for doing it. I think it's a positive psychology thing.
Yeah, there definitely be incentive rather than just experience alone. It needs to be, it can be a skin, it can be a title, it can something like a carrot, there needs to be something. So otherwise, it just end up going to be not played at all. Why would they?
Yeah,
go the extra mile.
There's so many world bosses like that.
Yeah,
like think about the number of world bosses that would be super fun, but like nobody plays them because they don't drop an infusion.
Yeah, or even worse, the ones that are played, a lot of people AFK through because the fights are too long yet not challenging.
Yeah, like oh man, there are people that multi-box chalk and the pinata and like all the infusion events. I've seen a guy that had like 20 accounts and would portal all his accounts down to loot the chests at Auric Basin. And I'm just like, damn. Okay, well, like I'm actually not against multi-boxing really. I think whatever. But that, like the idea that that person is going to get the exact same rewards to an extent, right? Because there is the participation thing. I don't know how it counts that or how he gets around. I'm sure there's a way that he gets around that.
Probably.
But like, I mean, come on, like he's not playing 20 accounts at once, right? He's like probably putting some turrets down or something so that they do some damage to creatures around. And he gets participation. Meanwhile, me doing my 30k DPS rotation on Hollow, right? And he's gonna get the exact same thing, but he's gonna get it 20 times over because he's logged into 20 accounts. That's why they tried to change the Dragonstorm thing, but I don't know how effective that was.
I haven't seen anything. I still, speaking out of personal experience, there's still a lot of people that keeps on AFK farming it and sticking around, or just parking with their minion mancers. Yeah. So since they might have tried to fix it, but the behavior is still very much there.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever really get it to go away per se, but I think that there are different systems in play, or that they could put systems in place that perhaps would de-incentivize it or incentivize participation more like strongly. I don't know. Right now, everybody gets the same reward. I actually brought this similar thing up with Nodek as well. Like everybody gets a similar reward for doing it, even though they probably shouldn't, right? Like everybody gets a participation trophy and they all get 2 gold. They all get a shot at the rare. I don't think it should be like that. I think that there should be thresholds by which if your participation, like a big algorithm or something that measures, are you hitting the mechanics? Are you giving people boons? Are you rezzing people? How long have you been in the fight? Have you been AFK for however long, right? And that like all that combines into some kind of calculation that says, okay, you get an increase or decrease in your chance of some of the super rare items. Now, it doesn't have to be super. What's the word? It doesn't have to be like a major change, right? But it should be something to warrant you wanting to actually participate in the event.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of where the inner teacher comes in. Like you want to do the positive affirmation rather than putting blame or rejecting or denying a negative response. So I definitely agree with you. There should be some sort of incentive to fully go through the entire event. Like maybe there needs to be some sort of checkpoint system. Like when the boss gets decreased in health, like did you participate when the boss was above 90 HP? Okay, then one check. And in the end, if you have, I don't know. I'm not a. This is clearly not my field.
Yeah, but it's a good point, right?
There should be ideas.
Imagine if there are different checkpoints. Every 20%, there's like a checkpoint, and this contributes to some calculation that says, oh, like this person was here and participated and did X amount of damage. Therefore, they will have slightly higher reward. This would mean that the people that show up at the last 1 minute attack the boss 4 times and currently get the exact same reward as somebody who's been there for 30 minutes, those people would no longer have that advantage, right? I mean, it's brutal, right? Like, and I've done it. Everybody's done it, right? You join a map right before the boss is about to be finished and you leech the 2 gold, right? Like you go and get it. And it's just kind of like a silly notion that that's even a thing. But I mean, it's in the game. Like people are going to use it. So
no, definitely. So like in that sense, I wouldn't complain if I were to lose out on those chests. Like when I know for a fact that I'm jumping in Drakkar 5%. Like I wouldn't, if I were not allowed to loot that. Fine, and like shame on me for being late. I'll join the next one. It's not like it was the only one for today.
My only issue with doing it like that is that if they do it like that, I think it's requisite that they make every boss have an instance mode like Dragonstorm and Marionette. I think they have to, because otherwise the every 2 hours thing actually impacts people pretty hard, right? Like there's lots of people that are like, if I miss Drakkar, I actually can't do this again for 2 hours. That sucks.
Yeah.
I wish that everything were instanced. I think I'd actually do a lot more open world stuff if it was instanced too.
So you mean that the pro would bring instance that you can initiate it on your own terms without being
Yes. I also find that in open world, a lot of times you have people that are actively not participating, like being AFK, like we suggested, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you can make your own group where everyone's kind of engaged, it's a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it goes faster. Like one of the reasons why Drakkar is so slow is because a third of the squad are standing out upstairs.
Yeah,
upstairs. But
yeah, like, hey guys, you're doing well down there.
You know, I'm here to scale up the fight, but I'm not actually participating.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually amazing how I used to run Drakkar like every day. That was like my thing, and I used to just scream in map chat to be like, everybody fire your laser beam, because if everybody presses their special action key, you wouldn't believe the damage, right? Like most people that are just pressing one, if all they do is just press the special action key once, their damage like triples, right? So imagine that. Like we can get like triple the damage by people just pressing a key, but a lot of people don't even realize that they can do that. So very, very interesting nonetheless.
Probably because people are auto playing and going autopilot. Like it's an open world world boss. You don't really focus very well, do you? You just kind of stick around.
Yeah. I'm curious. I mean, we're kind of like EOD is coming in like a month, right? So when's the release date, by the way? Come on. By the time this goes live, there'll probably be a release date, which is kind of funny. Yeah. I'm going to predict the future, and I'm going to say it's February 22nd.
Okay.
Wait, let me check the calendar. Is that the right day?
Is that a Tuesday?
Yeah. Let me see. I'm actually checking right now. It's a Tuesday.
Yeah. It's a Tuesday. Yeah.
22nd. Okay. That's my bet.
They're not saying the 21st, so like if it's earlier at any point, I can say I was closer than you.
Yeah, Price is right. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some people that think it's gonna be the 28th, but isn't that? Now I have to bring up the calendar again. Isn't the 28th
that's like a Monday?
I guess it's doable, but like, would you like to show up to work on a Monday and then immediately have a game launch? I don't know. I'd be stressing all weekend. I mean, you're gonna be stressing all weekend either way. I think it'd be nice to have one day to prep. I'm
not going to work either.
Yeah. The wild thing is right now, because they haven't given us a release date. I have to. I need to book. I'm not going to book like the week off probably, but I'll probably book like a day or two, right? So that I can play it on release. I'll probably book a day, right? It depends, right? If they put it out on a Tuesday, I might take Tuesday, Wednesday, and just game hard for like 16 hours. I don't know, and just complete the whole game, I suppose. But if honestly, my ideal is that it comes out on a Friday, because then I can like just take the Friday off and then play the whole weekend. But we'll see what they do.
Maybe that's the tactic they have, is that they do not want to do it, so people play for a longer period of time. You know, otherwise people would bench it right away if they have the entire weekend. And so that's kind of what I think early in the week, so people will experience it throughout a longer period of time than just play it. Because if you really sit down and play it actively, the stories in the expansions hasn't been that very long. Like it's totally playable throughout a couple of days.
Yeah,
so I'm only assuming it's gonna be an equal length.
Oh yeah, I'm bad. Like all the people that love the story, plug your ears, because I am gonna race through it as fast as possible, like to get to whatever end game content exists. I'm pretty sure they're gonna delay strike CMs, but my plan is to just whip through the maps and experience all the metas as quickly as possible, and then from there I'll try to pump it out. But like just like actively, I'll put up a tag and I'll just like farm the meta events is my plan. Because I'm sure there'll be the legendary will come out, and I'll want to be one of the first people to get one of the legendaries or something.
I usually end up doing the same thing as well. I just kind of not necessarily boost through, but I don't really pay attention to the strikes. I see them more to the story. I see it more like a guide. Like, okay, now I'm going to this map, and then I just do that map. I don't really pay attention to what's actually being told story wise. So I play through the expansion, and then I jump back into with another character, and that's when I'm just like, okay, now story time.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I get a lot of flack for my opinion on the story, which for those that don't know, this is my opinion in short. I'm a gameplay focused player, so I really care about the gameplay aspect of the game. When I go into the story, I feel like I'm told things about the characters and about our enemies that would suggest that they're very powerful. Now there are no difficulties in story, so when I go and I do these encounters, there's no fail state oftentimes, and so you really are told this dragon's like uber powerful, and then you go and you just like slap it and it dies, right? And to me, that's really one, immersion breaking, and two, just kind of sad. Like it's like, oh, this is the strongest thing ever, and you're like, oh, psh, it's over, right? And because I've experienced so many of those fights in the story, I just can't take the story very seriously. Now that's not any smack on the writing. I've actually found Living World Season 4 in particular to be very strong as far as story. And that was the one where I got the most engaged. And I was like, oh, wow, like this is really interesting. Yeah. And there were a couple parts in Heart of Thorns that I really enjoyed as well. But for the most part, I have a hard time like staying engaged in the story and taking it like super seriously, because the gameplay is like a weird contrast to what I'm being told about the characters.
Yeah, they contradict each other.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but like I still respect it. I still respect and love the people that enjoy the story a lot and are really into the lore, even though I might not be the biggest lore and story buff.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate the story a lot, but it's probably a smart call of them to make it easy so people don't get locked out of the story because of a difficulty setting. But from my standpoint, from where I am, I agree with it that it's way too easy.
Yeah, I would love it if they put more challenge mode type things in story.
Yeah,
like in Guild Wars 1, they had like hard mode, right? And then they had the bonus. So right now in Guild Wars 2, I feel like there's bonuses because it's like achievements, but there's no hard mode. And for me, if there was a hard mode that like everything ramped up and was like way more difficult and suddenly had to like really think about dodging certain attacks and using certain skills and blocking at certain times, if suddenly the fight was more interactive, because to be honest, like there was this one thing in the Heart of the Thorns, and spoiler alert, by the way, spoiler alert. I think it was Aurene just like channeling this thing, and there's like this creature that you have to like break the bar. You can only break the bar if you channel with Aurene. I just ignored that, and I just applied 1 million stacks of burning using a firebrand, and I killed the thing without actually doing the mechanic that it wanted me to do. And when that happened, I was like, okay, like, come on, like that's not good, you know? Like why in the world would they allow something like this? Should be invulnerable. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, commit to one of them.
Yeah, commit. It was just a very strange interaction in the game. And I would love it if I went into a fight and here's a good example. You know, at what event is it called? It's in the summer. It's like the kites. You know what I'm talking about? You know, the holiday event.
The kites.
There's like the cliffs where there's the Zephyrite stuff. What's that even called?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even remember what.
Festival of Four Winds.
4 Winds. That's right.
Hey.
So you know when you go and there's like that event where you go up and there's like a fighting ring and you fight the boss, and some of them require you to dodge certain mechanics, and like those are actually super fun. Why is it that the story doesn't, why doesn't the story do like like it could do that, but it would just make it like that's the challenge mode, right? There's still one of them that I haven't done because it was so hard, and I tried for hours, but I loved it. I'm not mad that I failed. I'm just excited that I got to play, and that it challenged me, right?
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here and get smacked by this boss over and over again. But that's okay, because now
queue up again.
When I see someone with that title of having killed that boss, I go, wow, they did it, right? Like that's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's not many things like that in the game, especially the story.
No.
If all they did was tweak that and make it so that the different boss fights all had like a challenge mode that made it like the 4 Winds encounters with the bosses, I actually think I would be really invested in the story. Really invested. Yeah. Because then people would do speed runs of it, and like imagine right now there's no I don't really think people do speed runs of the story. Am I wrong about that? I don't know.
Not anymore as far as I know.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone do a speed run of the story. I mean I see people like do let's plays of the story and stuff, but I don't think the story is something that really engages people because there's not really trick. It's just like burn it down as fast as possible and make sure that the dialogue goes through.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
I think it's called Queen's Gauntlet, isn't it? The
yeah,
particular
exactly.
part when you're underneath. Yeah, because that's how it was. Like jumping back to like, the difficulty setting and with Heart of Thorns. Like back then, it was really legitimately difficult. Now it's still difficult, but like the end boss, I can't remember what she is. Like the walking shadow girl.
Yes.
Yeah, I struggled with it big time for a very long time, and then I just switched to Firebrand, and there was no issue at all. Just stick to the basic strategy and dodge what had to be dodged. And if you got hit, I have healing, I have ages, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's Leandry the Shadow or something like that. I think that's the one. Yeah, she's tough. I think that's the one I haven't beat. I maybe there's one where the best strategy is to use a thief so that you can teleport around, but it was hard.
Okay. I don't know which one that is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the last one that's like the hardest, most difficult one. But I've only attempted it. I didn't even attempt it this last year. I was too busy.
Shame.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, you have a lot of things going for you. You got a new house, I saw. I read it on.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah. By the time this goes live, maybe because I'm posting like one of these a week. By the time this episode goes live, maybe I'll be in my new house. I don't know. We are doing an inspection on Tuesday, and so I don't know if you have this in Sweden. You probably do because it gets snowy in Sweden. But there's something called frost heave.
I love it.
Are you familiar with frost heave? It's where like the ground like freezes and thaws, and it can. And if the soil or the house is built a certain way, it can like morph the basement and crack the concrete, and it can make the basement uplift and it basically could damage the house.
Okay.
And
I'm not sure if we have that particular issue, but we have a lot of things against that in general, like with the ground. You have different layers and some sort of restrictions. I'm not very well read into it, but I'll have to because we're getting a house soon with time as well. So
yeah, so like it's problematic. So we're getting an inspection done, and we're hoping that everything clears. And if it does, then I will be moving sometime by the end of February. The good news is that the house is actually vacant right now because the owners bought a different house, so they just moved out. So the house has been sitting there empty for like 2 months, and so and. Also, coincidentally, we kind of know the owners, and so what we'll do is we'll move up the moving day. Ideally, it would be like February 11th, so that's like less than a month away. So this is all happening very very quick. Like I didn't think we were going to be even looking at a house until the summer, but we just kind of fell in love with this house. It's got 2 separate basements, which is weird, right? So like.
Gaming.
Exactly. So there's one where the one basement you go down and there's basically like a furnace room and like a little nook, a bathroom, and one room. Okay. So the plan is that room is going to be a guest room / my gaming room. So we'll put like a little hide-a-bed or like a couch that goes into a bed in there. And then all my gaming stuff, I'm going to soundproof it over time. And those sorts of things. I think it'll be super fun.
That sounds perfect.
Oh yeah, it totally is, but it's like away from everybody, right? Because right now I live in a little condo, and so like this room is actually quite small, and it's down in the basement. And so if my dog's barking, which you probably heard, if my dog's barking or people are yelling or whatever, you can like it just echoes down into here. But that won't happen in the same way in this new house, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, I'm very excited. You said you're looking for a house?
Keeping an eye up for the right one to come. We haven't seen anything yet, but we keep ourselves updated.
Yeah, are you married?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Got a beautiful wife from Ecuador.
From Ecuador. Wow, that's really. How did you meet?
Long distance.
Really, I mean, that's really cool.
Depends on who's asking. Like we have gone with the story that we met in Stuttgart a couple of times, but realistically speaking, we met online and began talking, and it was like began without any expectations at all. We just kind of met online, and it was like, oh, you're a girl. Oh, okay, I'm a guy. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Were you on like a dating website, or was it like a forum?
No, it was more of a forum, and we just began talking. And after a while, we both kind of agreed that we had something might be happening going on, and she said she was never gonna go up to me. It's because I'm the guy, I can I can be a murderer. So I went down sacrificed. I volunteered tribute. I sacrificed myself, and luckily she wasn't.
That's so really cool.
We did. Yeah, she was studying in Germany at the time, so it was not as far away from Sweden.
Okay. I was going to say, that's quite the jaunt to get over to Ecuador, no?
Yeah. Oh, no. I've been there, but doing 5 years of that would have been a lot more difficult. At least in Germany, we weren't the same time zone. So.
That's really, really cool. Yeah. The way I met my wife is she lived across the street from me, and she came over for dinner once. Oh. That was it. It's really simple. Like
complete opposite.
Yeah, we had some friends, and her roommate had been dating my roommate, but they had broken up, and they had been invited over for dinner, and so my now wife went to support her friend, and we hit it off immediately, and we've married for what, 4 years? Over 4 years now. So
well done.
Yeah, wild. Anyway, we're getting kind of close to the end here, so I want to give you an opportunity to just tell us why you love the game.
I love the game. What keeps me logging back in is definitely the people, and like the world, the combat, all its glory, definitely. But what keeps me coming back is the people. Like I like keeping myself updated with the people, with my friends. I come to know a lot of people, and everybody's very, very kind, and just everything becomes fun if you're when you're in the right company. And Guild Wars has the right company. There's the kindest people. I'm saying people a lot, but that's where it comes back.
But it is a focus on people, right? Like the community of Guild Wars 2 really is just excellence. It's good.
Definitely. Yeah. People can argue that but there's toxicity in the PvP scene, and people have their opinions whenever you put a commander tag up. But which game hasn't? It all depends on what you focus on. If you go open world, there's no level of wholesomeness like in Guild Wars 2. People are very kind, very helpful. There's commander tags. People are helping out left and right. That would never happen in any other game, unless you know each other or there's something like an incentive in other than just being kind.
Yeah, no,
so that's what keeps me going back.
100% agree. I think we've had a bit of a drought in content as we wait for the new expansion coming here in about a month. And as I think about why I've kept playing this last year, it's 100% been the people, the community. And I think that's really special. Guild Wars 2 has something really special, and it's really cool. Like with what I've been doing here, just talking to different people in the community and learning a bit about the person behind the keyboard and then why they like the game. It's really interesting that it is all about the people. We're all in this together, so to speak, and it's cool that we can make connections online through a game.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to shout yourself out? Tell us where people can find you.
Oof. Yeah, I hang out mostly on Twitch. You can find me there as EiderAce. I stream Thursdays to Mondays, 8 till 10 +1 Central European time. And we're doing strikes. We do some PvP, and we just basically hang out. It's an open free space. Come as you are, and have a good chill time.
Sweet. Well, I'll have all your links in the description below.
Awesome.
Everyone knows where to find me. I'm here. My Twitch is in the link.
Everybody knows you.
No, they really don't. No, but yeah, hey, thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate your time. Let us know down in the comments below why you love Guild Wars 2. Let us know if you ever met somebody in the game that you've then become like really strong friends with. For me, I met a few folks like 10 years ago in Guild Wars 1, and we're still friends to this day. I love like hearing those stories about the friendships and the bonds that are made in Guild Wars 2. And I also have a fellow streamer friend that met his wife in Guild Wars 2. So that's really cool. It's Merrick. I don't know if you know Merrick, but yeah. Anyways, Merrick and Junie are awesome. That's a shout out to them as well. Have a good one, everybody. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.